our most honored guest, Padraig O'Reilly. And he is the executive coach at Padraig Coaching and Consulting. Welcome here.
Thanks very much.
Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, yeah. I was a senior executive for many years, both in the federal government and CEO of a crown corporation. And after I left that last role, I went back to school to become an executive coach, and I started my coaching company about 6 years ago.
Wow, 6 years ago.
Yeah, 2012.
How's it been going like in the last 6 years for you?
It's been phenomenal, actually. The company started out as just me, and now 6 years in, we have 8 executive coaches working with clients. Our coaches are all across Canada, and our clients are all across North America, Asia, a little bit. So yeah, it's going really well.
Wow, so it's like crossing different continents.
Yes.
Oh, so how would, what's your day looks like if coaching people all over the world?
What's my day look like? Yeah. You know, well, I suppose it's interesting to me anyway, that I don't spend too much of my day coaching anymore myself, because the company is growing to a size where I spend a good part of my day working with clients, but many of our clients are corporate clients, right? So we started out the business and individuals would call and be interested in coaching with me. Nowadays, though, companies call and say, we'd like coaches for all of our team, or for all of our executives, or for a group of our executives. And so some of that coaching I do, some of the coaching my coaching team does, but most of the work of interacting with the clients, that's still with me. So I've got a mix now of coaching and running a business.
Wow, a coaching business.
Yes, exactly, a coaching business. Yeah.
Oh, so what do you think is the most interesting part, running it as a business?
Well, running it as a business, I think, the most interesting or most exciting part for me is that we get to have a really positive impact on our clients, right? If we're doing our jobs well, we get to see our client companies get better, we get to see their leadership teams feel more confident, be stronger in their leadership. We do a lot of work with teams of leaders, right? So the whole team together, and then individually with coaches. And so we get to see leadership teams who are starting to work more as teams, right? Quite often in organizations, we see leadership teams are actually more like leadership groups. And the difference is a group of talented people all kind of doing talented things at the same time. Whereas a team is a group of talented people who are really working together to achieve common things, right? And we get to see that transformation happen because of the work we do. And it's amazing how happy people are, how engaged they are when they realize how much better. Even an organization that's working well, if we can help their leaders become more of a team and become better at leading other people, then they go from working well to working really, really well. And it always happens that the organization and the people in it, they're happy. They get excited that what they thought was a good team turns out to be an even better team.
Oh, you make this team actually works better.
Yeah.
For this organization and also for individual themselves.
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's very rewarding.
Yes. So what do you see? What kind of people or company will benefit most from your service?
For us individually, there's many different types of coaching companies. In our case, we don't commit ourselves to any particular industry. We have coaches who have experience in a number of different industries. We focus on sort of mid-size to large-size organizations, right? So where there's layers of leadership. And we focus on sort of the people management side of things, helping leaders be better at their relationships with each other and their relationships with their staff. Figuring out how to adapt their leadership style to each of their staff members, figuring out how to adapt their interactions with their colleagues so that they can have the best relationship possible, which then means they get the most success possible.
Yeah, you mentioned about this relationship a lot, and like when a company is thinking about investing in their like employees, they may also have an idea investing in like different kind of training programs. What do you see is the advantage in like specifically coaching?
So coaching is, in my mind, you could sort of describe it as the most customized training possible for leaders, right? I don't like the word training. I kind of lean more towards learning, because training to me, and maybe this is just my bias, but in my mind, training sounds like someone's coming in and telling you, teaching you, telling you how to do it. Whereas coaching, of course, is more of a co-created, figuring out what the client wants to achieve, helping them figure out what they want to achieve, helping them figure out what's stopping them from achieving that or what's preventing them from achieving that, and then figuring out a method that's going to work for them to achieve it. And their method might be different than the method I would teach, but if it's going to work for them, then we help them figure that out and do it. So it's very, very customized. And so we take that approach then further. Even when we're working with teams, we have sort of set goals, things that the company wants us to achieve with the team, but we do it with a coach approach. So it's our team training, if you will, our team workshops are actually more like team coaching, right? So we have goals that the company wants to achieve. We set out some of the aspects of how we want to achieve that, some of the understanding that needs to occur, but we work with the team members in the workshop to figure it out with them. So how are we going to do that, right? So we refer to it, of course, as a coach approach to leadership.
Really cater to each one individuals.
Yeah, and each team, right?
Team.
Because each team has their own personality as well, right? The team culture that we have to adapt to. And I think that's one of the big problems with the word training is when a company comes in and trains a group, I don't believe it's really paying attention to the culture and the individual personalities. They're coming in and saying, this is the best way to do it, so I'm going to teach you how to do it.
Yeah, it's like they have a standard and then everyone needs to get to that standard, right?
Right, that standard and that method. Yeah.
And how is that coaching in this?
Yeah, so in our case, individual coaching weaves in throughout, right? In some cases, we might start working with the individual or the company, just doing coaching, one-on-one coaching with the leader. Sometimes then we'll start doing a team program, and maybe some of the members of the team will have individual coaches as we go through the program. And then most common is we'll do some sort of leadership workshop, leadership programming with the team, and then we'll follow with one-on-one leadership coaching. And that is really a good model because it helps anchor, right? People learn new things, they figure out new things in their workshop, and everybody's always excited at the end of a day in a workshop. This is so great, I'm going to use this, And then let's face it, we've all been there where we take some sort of workshop or program, we're very excited and jazzed up about it, and then we go back to the office and the real world happens again, right? We're committed to trying all these new things, but nothing else has changed. All the same people, all the same problems, all the same culture hits us, and whether it takes one day or 1 week or 1 month, but pretty soon we've kind of forgotten what we did in the workshop and we're back into normal. Hopefully we leave the workshop with some change, but maybe not enough. And so one way that we help companies really make that change stick is to then follow up with coaching with the leaders who were in the workshop to help them figure out individually, customized for them, how are you going to make this happen? And that works really well.
Wow. So what do you see is the key factor in really make this change happen?
You know, I suppose it sounds cliche, but the coaching is the key factor, right? Because as I said, it's customized, right?
Yeah.
So we use a coach approach in the workshop to customize the workshop to the company and to the team and make sure it really resonates with people. But then it's that individual coaching afterwards that customizes how you're going to make that work, how you're going to implement that in your own office, right? And so each participant who has a coach gets customized help with making what we learned in the workshop, making it happen, making it stick in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always essential, but it sure is an extra benefit to trying to make sure that all of that stuff that we talked about in the workshop really happens in real life.
Mm-hmm. I can see really action oriented
Yes.
in your approach. Oh, I see. So how do you know this relationship with your client is actually working for each other?
Yeah, good question. First of all, it's anecdotal is one method. I stay in constant contact with the client and just ask them, how is it going? What are you seeing? Are things changing? What do you wish would move faster? What are you frustrated by still? Questions like that. And sometimes in some organizations, depending on the situation, we do some sort of measurement before we start, and then we do some sort of measurement along the way. We do measurement after. And by measurement, I mean maybe we survey. Maybe we do an assessment tool. We have a number of assessment tools we use with individuals and with teams. And so, it's really great if you can run one of those at the start. Do the programming, do the coaching, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, whatever the time is, do the assessment again, and you can actually see some measurable changes in certain areas. That's great. That's not always possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's more, having a good relationship with the client contact. Maybe it's the vice president of human resources, maybe it's the CEO, maybe it's the team leader. But talking to them, saying, what are you seeing? And, maybe more importantly, what aren't you seeing? What do you wish you would see and you're still not seeing? Yeah, so again, custom.
Really customized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Wow. So if you are going to give a piece of advice for those people who want to look for a right coach for them, how can they choose? How can they choose a coach?
Yeah. First of all, you have to get to know the coach, and so the way we do it is when any individual is going to start coaching with us, whether they're just on their own, they've called us, or they're part of an organization who has brought us in. In our company, it still rests with me. Maybe a bigger company would have others, but in my case, I talk to each incoming client, each individual coachee. And I spend maybe 15 minutes talking with them, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, about why do they want a coach? What are they trying to achieve? What do they wish would be better? What would they love to see in an ideal situation? And while I'm talking to them, I get a sense of their personality, of their behavioral style, of what motivates them, what demotivates them. How much are they motivated to make this change, that sort of thing. And I get to know a little bit of their background. And so then at the end of that call, I say to them, here's our roster of coaches. You can look at our website and pick anybody you want and talk to them for a while to see if they fit. But I also make my recommendation. So after our conversation, because of this, because of that, and because of the third thing, I'd recommend you talk to this coach and you talk to that coach. But you're welcome to talk to any coach. And usually at the end, people will say, that's great, I'll look forward to talking to those two or those three. And sometimes they say, and I've also looked at the list, I've also looked at your team page, and also this coach sounded interesting, I'd like to talk to them. No problem, great. So we schedule then a quick 20-minute call with each of those coaches. And we do that complimentary, of course, making sure that people have an opportunity to talk to anyone. And then in those calls, those coaches will use a coach conversation to get to know the client. So they get to understand the client's needs. The clients get to experience what it's like being coached for a little bit from that coach. And then at the end, the client chooses whoever they want to work with for whatever reason they want to work with them. And we always offer a guarantee to them and the company. If it's not working, we'll find another coach to work with you for any reason. Or of course, we can always end the relationship if they prefer. We've never had any client decide to end a relationship early. And we did have one client that said it doesn't feel like it's working with this coach. Could we talk to others? And so we did. We helped them meet other coaches and they switched. And that was fine. No problem for us, no problem for the coach. And the client was very happy. They said, oh, we're making even more progress now with this new coach. So yeah, it's happened once.
Yeah, oh, I see. So actually, like this matching with people and coaches are really personalized, and it's actually sometimes it's hard to tell. Like you need to be like really try it first, or
yeah, I think so. It's like any relationship; you don't know until you start to get into it. But I absolutely would recommend anybody who's looking for a coach spend some time talking to the coach ahead of time, and just. It sort of sounds odd, I guess, but go with your gut. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. But at the same time, I would encourage people, don't say no because it feels challenging or it feels uncomfortable, right? Right? If that's the problem, if it just feels like, oh, this person's going to be tough or going to really push me, think hard about maybe that's good, maybe that's what you want right now.
That's very interesting. So sometimes coaches will make us feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What's the positive side of that?
Well, of course, that's often where the most change occurs, is when we're pushed outside a comfort zone. It's also where those aha moments often occur, right? Because all of a sudden we're looking at things from a perspective that we didn't look at it from before, and new ideas, new approaches occur at that time. But having said that, I want to emphasize that sometimes what we need is someone who's not pushing us quite so hard, but is more supportive, really listens to where we're at and helps us figure out what we can do within our comfort zone for now. Ideally, my bias is that shouldn't happen forever, right? We all should be pushed outside our comfort zone sometimes. But let's be really clear, sometimes people have had a really difficult time. And they need a coach right now who can support them to rebuild their confidence, feel comfortable as themselves where they are, figure out who they are and who they're comfortable being. And so in that case, the coach, doesn't want to push them hard. They want to actually help them ground themselves. And so that's part of that initial conversation. In our company, it's that initial conversation with me that sort of decides maybe which coach I'll recommend. But if someone out there is calling just an individual coach and they're not sure, I guess my biggest advice would be try to be as open and honest as possible about where you are right now and either where you want to be or what you're struggling with right now to help that coach figure out, can they give you what you need right now?
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Just where we are right now.
Yeah.
And a coach can in different stage a coach may approach you different kind of matter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's also very flexible and of coaches.
Sure. I firmly believe that's a big part of the job of being a coach, is figuring out where the client is, figuring out where the client wants to be, helping them figure that out sometimes. And so, like I said, sometimes it means I want to be somewhere that's outside my comfort zone and I can't get there. But sometimes it might be I need to reground myself. I need to figure out where I'm at before I figure out where I want to go.
Yeah. well, we all need to like know where we are at, and then we can figure like we can use this like power to go forward, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. That's a great point. And like I will ask you the last question.
Sure.
Like, how do you see like coaching in the future?
Oh, well, good question. It could go anywhere, of course. Pardon me. I think what I'm seeing, or maybe what I'm most excited about, is first of all, coaching is becoming more and more the norm, right? It's seen as an essential part of leadership development. But what I'm excited about is that is organizations that are blending coaching in as part of a more holistic leadership development program, I guess you could say. So looking at team programs, looking at some of the leadership, leading others, figuring out yourself, maybe using some assessment tools, maybe building in a workshop program where the team gets together or leaders and staff get together, and weaving into that coaching where it's going to have the best impact. And so I think what we've seen for a while is people see coaching as sort of a solution. So we'll go get a coach, and that's good, that can help a lot. But where it's going is coaching is part of an integrated toolkit of things that organizations can provide their leaders to help their leaders become the best leaders they can be and help their teams become the strongest they can be. Right? And so that excites me, and I think that's where we're seeing it go is coaching is really embedded as part of a holistic program to really help the leaders be their best.
Oh. Wow. Thank you so much for all those valuable information. And if people want to reach you, like where they can go? Sure,
yeah. So we have a website. Our company is Padraig Coaching, which is a difficult name for people to pronounce, but it's Padraig. So our website is padraig.ca. And my own email address is coach@padraig.ca. So we'd love to hear from people.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Oh, my pleasure.
Want to know more about coaching? Hit the like button and subscribe. Please leave all your questions about coaching in the comment, and I will ask our coaches. See you next time.